So Greg, he has like more than 15 years working experience with iRAP and delivering iRAP projects. So he's a rate expert. So he will share his experience and insights today. So we have 45 minutes presentation from Greg, and then there will be 15 minutes at the end for you to raise your questions and discussions. Okay, next slide, please, Greg. So, okay, so we have 45 minutes webinar and around 10 to 15 minutes for discussion. And next, please. Uh, okay, so as usual, there's a queue. If you want to raise your question, please feel free to do it at any time. And you can during the presentation because you are muted. So so to respect the speaker, so we mute all the participants. But during the presentation, whenever you have any questions, please put in the Q&A box. And after the presentation, after Greg he finished his presentation, then you can raise your hand so we can allow you to speak and have the direct discussion with Greg. Okay, I guess we have like around 50 participants now, and we have a few minutes for everyone to join already. So do you want to start now, Greg? Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah. The floor is yours. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Min. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the time to join this webinar. As Min said, the topic is engaging practitioners to help iRAP projects. So a quick note, who is this session really for? It's for anyone that wants to engage a practitioner or a supplier to perform what we call iRAP specification activities. I'm going to talk a little about that in a moment. But it's also for practitioners or suppliers who want to know what we recommend to people when they're hiring or engaging people to do iRAP activities. So in this session, we're not going to talk so much about the iRAP methodology itself, but more, I guess, on the administrative side about who you can get to help you do projects. There's some key sources of information that we're going to be referring to throughout the webinar. They're listed there on your screen. There's 4 key web pages on our website. So our website is irap.org, and then irap.org specifications, training, accreditation, and RAP tools. I'm going to refer to each of those throughout this session. As a brief introduction to iRAP, if you're unfamiliar with who we are, we're the International Road Assessment Program. We're a charity that was set up about 20 years ago to help create a world free of high-risk roads. As a charity, what we do is create methodologies and tools that can be used to rate risk on road infrastructure risk all around the world. Those tools are used extensively around the world, have been used in more than 100 countries to assess more than 1 million kilometres of roads and help influence more than $100 billion of infrastructure projects. The tools and methodology have become something of a global standard for infrastructure safety assessments. Apart from the tools and the methodology, we also provide training, communications, and advocacy to support large-scale action on road safety. If you would like to know a little more about what we do and what we plan to do throughout the rest of the decade of action for road safety, which runs from 2021 to 2030, you can check out our Partnerships for 2030 Impact Strategy. There's a link right there on your screen that you can click on to. But basically, our goal is to help us to work with partners and help countries prevent 2 million deaths and injuries over the decade of action, help to influence the upgrades and improvements of 200,000 kilometres of roads and influence $200 billion of investment. And with our partners all around the world, we're making good progress on that. As part of the global context that we operate in, we're currently in the second decade of action for road safety that runs from 2021 to 2030. Underpinning that is the global plan for the decade of action for road safety that was adopted by member states and led through the United Nations. That global plan includes 5 key focus areas, one of which is safer road infrastructure. And that's the part that iRAP particularly focuses on, although there is obvious linkages to each one of those 5 focus areas, particularly the multimodal transport and land use planning. Within the global plan, there's also 12 global road safety performance targets. 2 of those 12 targets relate specifically to infrastructure. Target 3 talks about ensuring that all new roads are safe for all road users and ideally meet a star rating of 3 stars or better. And target 4 talks about ensuring that most travel in a country is on roads that are safe for all road users. So ensuring 75% of travel on roads is safe. And again, you can use the star ratings to help measure your progress and final impact in achieving that target. So getting into the idea of engaging experts to help you do projects. There's a few tips really before you start doing an iRAP project. If you're interested in doing an iRAP project, just before you start, I guess there's 4 key questions that we encourage everyone to ask to begin with. Firstly, what is your objective? And we ask that because actually there's a range of iRAP tools, which I'll talk about in a minute, that could do a lot of different things and help a lot of different, or help achieve a lot of different objectives. So for example, do you need to do a full-scale iRAP assessment using all the tools in great detail? Or at the other end of the spectrum, do quick spot checks across your network using one of the lighter tools? Is that going to be enough to achieve your objective? Has an assessment been done before? It may be that the roads or the road or roads that you're interested in looking at have already been assessed. And so one way that you can find out if that's the case is take a look initially at our website, the Where We Work. That will give you a sense of if anything has happened in your country. And then you can also go into our VIDA software, which we can share a link for, and take a look at whether assessments might be reported there. Or you can email us as well. Just taking that step, even just emailing us to say, is this road or are these roads roads that have been assessed before, can save a lot of time. You might be already have data that you can make use of. Another good question to ask is there already input data that already exists? So input data that goes into doing an iRAP assessment. One of the very best sources of information to feed into an iRAP assessment is, for example, the Google Street View imagery. If your roads already have fairly recent Google Street View imagery, that may be sufficient to do the iRAP coding and produce the star ratings from there. So that can be incredibly valuable. But also, if you have an asset database that's used, for example, to manage the maintenance and long-term life of the pavement of the road, that often will contain data that can be used in iRAP assessments. If there's a road safety audit report or designs for the road that you're interested in assessing, that can also be an important input. I say that because the more you're able to use existing data and inputs, the quicker your project will be and less costly your project will be. So definitely give that some thought before you start a project. And the other one is, do you have the standard terms of reference and specification documents for iRAP? It's very important that you have those documents to hand when you're shaping your project and engaging people to help you. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So just getting back to that first tip that I talked about, what's your objective? Here's a bunch of examples of different types of objectives that the iRAP tools can help to serve. So if you're asking the question, how safe are these roads or designs? It's one objective that can be matched up with one of the tools. Or how can safety be improved on these roads and designs? So not just how safe are they today, but what can we do to improve these roads or designs? Or where are serious crashes happening? You can use the fatality estimation tools or the crash risk mapping, for example, to help answer that question. Is safety changing on these roads over time? There's methodologies that we have that help measure that. Or you might ask, what is the star rating? What star rating target could we achieve by 2030, the decade of action, for different levels of investment? The tools can help to answer that. What are the typical star ratings on this road? That's an example where you might do samples of typical sections of your road and get the star ratings of those typical sections, which can be a very accelerated way of figuring out what the star ratings of the road generally are. Can you turn an investment plan into a investment-ready treatment plan, a concept design? Or can you blend star ratings with road safety audit? Do you want to do that? Do you want to know how safe cycling is on our network? Or do you want to know how safe the situation is around schools? Each one of these objectives can be served served with the iRAP tools, and many more can as well. So I guess my main point here is really understanding very clearly exactly what you want to do helps you to choose which of the iRAP tools you might use, and therefore what you might ask an expert to help you deliver. You can find examples on our website of several different case studies with that link down the bottom, the success stories, that give you a sense of the sorts of projects that have happened, and you can get a sense when you look at them at the different styles of projects that have happened and can be used as a guide for how you choose your type of project, and therefore how you choose someone to help you do that work. The correlation, I guess the corollary, oh no, I'm not even going to try and say that word. The connecting information to that those objectives is the RAP tools. And you can see on the right-hand side, we have a very long list of the different RAP tools available. And that's very important to know. It's the iRAP is most famous for doing the star ratings, but there's very different ways that you can make use of the methodologies to produce those star ratings or produce supporting information. Really importantly, they can be used globally on all types of roads. They can be used flexibly to meet your needs in many different ways. And also they can be used at all different stages of a road's life cycle, whether it's in the planning stage, the early design stage, detailed design, open to traffic, and the maintenance and operating period. So I'm just going to show you, there's a link at the bottom here of the screen, the RAP tools. I'm just going to briefly show you on our website where you find that information. So if you go to our website, irap.org, you can see this list here, RAP tools. So if you just click on that, it's going to take you to this page, gives you a quick summary, and then a long table of all the different methodologies or protocols or tools that are available to help you with your task. And this is why, because this list is quite long, this is why it's really important to give some thought about what specific objective are you trying to achieve when you're doing your project, because then that'll help you select the right tools for that project. This little dial here, I'll zoom up. It's a little bit complex, but what it looks at is around the circle is the life cycle of a road, starting with the planning, design phase, building, opening the road, and the maintenance. And this 3 and 4 represents those global road safety performance targets I spoke about before. Target 3 relates to safety of designs. Target 4 relates to existing roads. So you can see for each tool how it relates to the road life cycle and which of the UN performance targets it connects to. So you can see crash risk mapping, star ratings, star rating for school, cycle RAP, fatality and serious injury estimates, protocol and tools, the Safer Roads investment plans, the route review tool, star rating for designs, star rating for road safety audits, and so forth. So you can see when we recommend or each one of these tools can be used in the road's life cycle and which of the targets it relates to. Now, it can be a little overwhelming to get your head around all of these tools. So to help you with that, you can click on each one of these and it's going to take you through to more information about the tool, which will pop up in a moment. There you have it. So each of these tools has a page with a bit more information. But also really helpfully, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see down here there's a link that says click on here to see some. So I've opened that page already just because I know the internet sometimes can be tricky, but it's going to take you to this page. So James Bradford team has very helpfully recorded videos about many of our tools right here. So you can click on any one of these and get more information about how the tool works and what it's for. You'll also see down the bottom there's some tools that are coming. So the route review tool, which is itself fairly new, is getting a speed management update. You can click on that and see what that's all about. We also have these two new tools, the new network screening tool and the corridor screening tool. These together can be called Rapido. That's the name that we'll be giving to them, and I'll refer to them again in a little bit, but definitely worth taking a look at these videos to get a sense of the types of tools that are available. So just jumping back to my slides, again, in the context of engaging an expert to help you do a project, again, it's very worthwhile thinking about your specific objective and the specific tools that you might like them to be using. When you're shaping a project and engaging people to help too, it's also really helpful to think about who are the project stakeholders, who will you be engaging with, and what might you want the people doing the project to help you with in terms of engagement. Thinking about who can make this project a success, who will make use of the results. It's always good practice to hold a planning workshop with several stakeholders to socialize the idea of the project that you're doing, but also get good inputs into how you can shape it in a really effective way. And remembering that good communications can really bring a project to life, and many different stakeholders have different communications needs and capabilities. One thing that we have found with the iRAP is good positive communications has been a really effective mechanism of building awareness and engagement and support for road safety. So project stakeholders might include the political leaders, almost always the road agencies, since they're the people who own the roads, people who supply data, researchers, development banks, local communities, media, and so forth. So getting to the question of who can deliver a project, so who can help you achieve your objective and make use of the tools. Really key point to note is that anyone can make use of the iRAP tools. As I said, as a charity, we make the tools and methodology freely available, so you can make use of them today. But like all tools, they require skills and experience. Some of the tools require more skills and more experience than others. So the question of who can deliver a project, you can build your own capacity. So for example, if you're the head of road safety in a road agency and in a main road department, you might want to do an iRAP assessment on a road or series of roads and say, right, I want my own team to be able to do that. So you have the option of building the capacity of your own team to do that with the training courses that are available. Or you might say, I want to hire someone to come and help me do that. I want to hire someone to come and do the surveys, the data collection, and the analysis, and then deliver those results to my team so that we can make use of them for our road management. In that case, you can find experts to help you, and we recommend, if you're in that situation where you're going to have a contract with someone, that you make use of what we call accredited practitioners or suppliers. And I'll talk about that in a moment. Or you could do a combination of the above. You might project where half a team in your own team does it, and then you bring in consultants to help with some part of it. So as I said, we recommend that if you're making a contract with anyone to deliver iRAP activities, use experienced accredited practitioners. The other point that we want to emphasize too is that especially when it comes to making specific road safety recommendations and specific, and in a way of, for example, if we create an investment plan that suggests a series of investments in safety, often that work, the thing that comes out of the iRAP assessment, still needs some experts to put that into context about how it could be implemented in an effective way. So we often recommend that people doing the star rating and analysis and reporting stage also have experience or qualifications in road safety audits. we have found that like bringing those two skill sets together, the iRAP and the road safety or skill sets together, can be really, really effective. So I'm just going to again jump onto our website and show you each of these pages so you can. So the first one I'm going to show is the training page. So this is available at irap.org, and here you can see on the menu, just click on the training. What you're going to see is a little bit of news that pops up. Our latest scheduled live webinar that's coming up. Actually, this one has just been done, so we're going to update this quite soon. And then you're going to see a long list of webinars that are available to take at your own pace. And so that includes the introduction to iRAP, information about programs and projects, the star rating essentials, star rating for design, star rating for schools, additional courses for road attribute coding, and advanced star rating and investment planning. You can click on each one of these and it's going to expand and give you each one of the different languages of that course that's available. So you can see this one, the star rating essential, is available in several different languages. This star rating essentials course is probably the core course that we offer online. You can see it's 4 modules plus assignments. There is a fee for doing that one, and the estimated time to completion is about 30 hours worth of inputs. So if you wanted to build the capacity within yourself or your own team, there's plenty of training courses available right here. There's also a lot of what we call dissemination presentations. So these are more generalized webinars that's sharing information about specific topics and usage of the tools. And we also have the RAP Knowledge Live sessions, which do sort of focus in on specific topics. So this one focusing on engaging experts. We've had them on Cycle RAP. We've had them on the star rating for designs and the review tool, for example. So you can come to this page and check out a lot of learning content that helps you build your own capacity to do assessments. The other page that we have is the accredited supplier page. So you'll see here that there's 4 categories of iRAP accreditation: for doing activities, 1 for inspection systems, and 2 for iRAP. So that's the Accelerated Intelligent Road Assessment Program. So focusing on this first one, the activity accreditation, there's 4 types: 1 for road survey, 1 for road attribute coding, 1 for analysis and reporting, and 1 for star rating for schools quality review. The page sets out the process that people go through to get that accreditation, and really importantly, gives you a list of all the people that hold accreditation. So you can expand this list quite a bit, just like this. And so what it enables you to do is, if you want to do a project and you want to engage an expert to help you, you can look at this page, find the accredited practitioners, and scroll right through and see a long list of all the people that hold accreditation. So I'm going to pick out Susan to begin with here. So you can see, gives you her email address, where she works, which country she's in, and you can see each one of those categories. There's 4 categories I talked about here. So code, survey, coding, analysis and reporting, and star rating for schools. So Susan is accredited for star rating for schools. She's been involved in 15 different training and events on records, and been involved in 1 project on our record as well. So you can scroll through this and see different combinations of accreditation. So if you wanted to, for example, do a project where you do road attribute coding, you're looking for someone to help you do road attribute coding, you can sort it by this column and find all the people who have a tick that have that accreditation, and you can see some information about their training and experience as well. You can also search this by country and region and organization. So very helpful page if you're trying to find someone to help you do assessments. The other key type of accreditation, just to highlight, is the inspection systems. So these are the actual systems that are used to record the video imagery and the geospatial data, and then do the road attribute coding. It's the actual software and hardware. So if you're doing an assessment that has a very long network or a long network and you need a really reliable system that you can totally rely on, that's going to be very well proven for doing iRAP assessments, again, you have a list of accredited systems that are available that you can get in touch with any one of these companies, talk about their system. You can download a brochure that explains what their system is and how it works, and then get in touch with them to discuss how you might purchase that. So that's these two types of accreditation. One is the activity, actually doing the activities, and category number two is the inspection system, the hardware and software that you might choose to use for your project as well. The third category I mentioned is the iRAP. So if you're interested in iRAP, you can take a look at our website again in the innovation, click on the iRAP. So you can find out a bit more information about that. Come back down here, you can see what we have is data suppliers, so iRAP data suppliers. So these are companies that have approaches that are proven to be able to collect accelerated coding for road attributes. So you can see here the supplier name, the road attribute that they have a system for data for, median type, for example, where it can be used, what type of road it can be used, what sort of data source it requires, and then they have their system that can be used to automatically produce road attribute coding from those data sources. So again, if you're interested in an iRAP approach where you try to use data with minimal human inputs, this table down here is one for you to take a look at as well. So just jumping to my slide, just to summarize, anyone can make use of the iRAP tools anytime, but just remember they require skills and experience to do it really, really well. If you're engaging someone contractually, we really recommend that you engage someone who holds accreditation. The other sort of parallel question is who can deliver training? We don't have an accreditation or a qualification for people who deliver training, but we do have some recommendations. If you're trying to hire someone to deliver training in person, or it could be online, we have some recommendations about that. If you're hiring someone, you should ask them, or we recommend that they hold iRAP accreditation. So if they're going to be doing training on iRAP coding, for example, we recommend that they hold iRAP accreditation for the coding activity. We recommend that they have extensive experience doing assessments. You want someone who not only knows the theory, but knows how to do things in practice. And you want someone who knows how to do training. And these two skill sets don't necessarily go together. You can have someone very experienced in doing iRAP coding and accredited, but maybe not so good at delivering training. So it's a interesting skill set that you want to put together, but it's very, very important if you want to get a good learning environment. Ideally, and you can ask them this, have people who've taken their training before been able to go on to get iRAP accreditation? Can they pass accreditation tests? So if someone does a road attribute coding course, have those people then been able to pass the accreditation tests? It's a good sort of rule of thumb or metric about how effective the training course might be. And ideally, like I said before, if it's training about the star rating specifically, about recommendations, about the safety of roads, also having that road safety audit experience or qualifications can be incredibly valuable. And in fact, one place we recommend that you take a look at is the International Road Federation website. They've just published their Road Safety Auditors International Register. It's the first one that's truly international. And so you might like to check if they're listed there as well. In fact, we have plans in the future to add that as a column on our accreditation list as well, sort of a tick box to say, okay, they're iRAP accredited and they have that road safety audit registry in place as well. So just a tip, if you are hiring someone or engaging someone or asking someone to do iRAP assessments for you, Make sure you do match up that experience with your needs. So, for example, someone who has survey accreditation, so they can go out, film the road, collect speed data and flow data. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have experience doing road attribute coding. So that is looking at the videos and recording the road attributes systematically using the iRAP coding specification. Similarly, someone who has coding accreditation, that does not mean that that person has experience producing the star ratings. They're quite different skill sets in many ways. One is about looking at the videos and recording the attributes. Another one is about putting that data into the beta software and producing results that needs a degree of sense checking and experience to know that the results coming out are correct. So if you want someone to do star ratings or the investment planning phase, really important that you ask that they have the analysis and reporting accreditation. That's the accreditation that relates to producing star ratings and investment plans. So yeah, just making sure if you're writing a terms of reference or a specification for someone to do work, lining up their qualifications and experience with what you want them to actually be doing. Min, I know I've been talking for quite a bit, so there might be questions people have typed into the box. I'm happy to take a look at or hear any of those now.
Yep, sure, Greg. I think there's a question from Simon. So Simon is asking about the quality assurance of iRAF assessment projects. So for example, if the practitioners do already completed the training and they're able to carry out the assessment, so is it possible for them to contact iRAP to help them monitor or review their result of their assessment? And is there any way to ensure the quality of the assessment so that to ensure the standard of the project? Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic question. And it's one that I'm going to touch on again a little later, but I'll say something about it now. So yeah, ensuring the quality, particularly of the coding, that's the area that can often make mistakes in coding. So categorizing the road attributes, that's one area it's easy to make mistakes because there's quite a lot that you need to be doing. And also it has a big impact, obviously, on the star ratings and downstream investment plan results. We always recommend that for every team doing an assessment, whether it's survey, coding, analysis, reporting, star rating for schools, there is some sort of independent check of the data. That independent check, it doesn't necessarily have to be someone, completely different company. But it needs to be someone who can take a fresh look at the data and isn't going to be sort of maybe doesn't have so much skin in the game. So someone who can look at the data fresh and make considered judgments about the coding or the survey data or the star ratings and investment plan results. We have very clear recommendations about that in the specification documents on our website, which I'm going to talk about in a moment as well. So you can ask anyone to do that. And again, we would just say, make sure you ask someone who's experienced. Ideally, they're accredited and they have quite a lot of experience in doing that particular task. You can, of course, ask the iRAP team. If it's a very big quality project, we're going to have to talk about how much that might cost to do. But if it's a small task, we're often happy to help. But I should also say many of the accredited practitioners listed on the website have excellent experience in doing iRAP assessments, and you're always welcome to reach out to your fellow practitioners in that network to ask them to take a look at your results. So yeah, there's different pathways for doing that, Simon. Really good question as well.
Great. Thanks, Greg. Okay, we have another questions from
Hmm.
Stelios. So, Stelios saying that, okay, so you recommend that the practitioner who wants to deliver the iRAF assessment should also have the road safety audit certification, maybe from IRF. So, Stelios say that like there are many registry, like many road safety audit like courses in their own home countries. So not only the practitioners listed on the IRF website are qualified for the road safety audit, but also the practitioners that gaining the certificates from their home countries. So the most capable road safety auditors are the ones that are certified in their home countries, not only the one in the IRF list. So that so okay. So I guess he's just a comment, not a questions, but just important to know that not only the IRF road safety auditors are the one who qualify. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and a fantastic point, Stelios. I don't disagree at all with that. We just listed the IRF one because obviously operating a global accreditation scheme, we would love to be able to match up with the global road safety audit scheme, and I would really hope that the global audit scheme is able to sort of give automatic recommendation to those high quality national audit qualifications as well. I think it's still being established. But from my perspective, if you have that road safety audit experience and qualification in a country and it's well established and well regarded, that of course I guess satisfies that sort of requirement to have that experience and skills as well.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Greg. Okay, I think there's another person who just raised your hand. So can you raise your hand again, and then I can allow you to speak because, okay, we have from, okay, please give me a second, then I allow you to speak. Yeah, yeah. Can you unmute and then, yeah, share your questions, please?
Am I audible?
Yes.
This is Inderjit Ghai from India. I have attended your webinar for the first time, but I was aware about iRAP earlier. My question is, I am a safety editor over here and certified safety editor working for National Highway Authority of India. I raise many safety issues in my audit reports, but these are rarely seen and attended by the authorities. Maybe my observations are not valid. So my question and request is that can iRAP see these safety issues which I raise and help me in improving these issues? Number one. Number two, how can iRAP help me in getting these issues implemented in my country?
Yeah, fantastic question, and certainly not the first time I've heard road safety experts frustrated that recommendations are not being implemented. So yeah, definitely feel your pain, Inderjit, and thank you for your question. So a couple of things. One is in India, there's an iRAP program that's based in Delhi. So after this webinar, I'll be very happy to put you in touch with Jigesh Badsa, who's the engineer that's leading the iRAP program. Okay. Number two is I'm going to show on the screen shortly. We have a manual that we produced with the CARAC program in Asian Development Bank, which gives guidance about how you can put road safety audit practice together with iRAP as well. And it might be worth you taking a look at that. It might give you some ideas about how you might use the iRAP metrics and star ratings to help emphasize the impact that your road safety recommendations could make, but also help to prioritize which would be the sort of most important one to do through to the least important one. So definitely follow up with you after this webinar.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
We will share more info with you after the webinar. Thank you. I guess there is no more questions at the moment. Maybe you can go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, just to give you a sense, like typical stages of a full-scale iRAP project. And as I said, there's many different tools. And I'm going to talk you through what we call a sort of more traditional full iRAP project. So you begin obviously with that project planning, setting out those objectives that we talked about earlier. We always strongly encourage focus on health and safety, particularly because you're going to be working or someone is going to be working on roads that by definition are risky. scope of work and roads, etc. I'm going to talk a little bit more about our terms of reference document that covers each one of these shortly. That would then take you in a traditional project through to the survey phase. This is a data collection phase where you collect the road images, the geospatial information, speed data, traffic flow data, pedestrian and bicyclist movement data. And you can see, relating to Simon's question, definitely recommend there's always a quality assurance element to that. And good practice is always to have briefings and training with the local stakeholders. That then takes you through to the coding phase, where you use the images from the road to record the different road attributes on the road. Again, that quality assurance checking phase is incredibly important, and you have the opportunity to brief stakeholders and provide training alongside that. There's also this extra supporting data, countermeasure costs, economics data, crash data, that can and should be collected as part of the project. Takes you into what we call the analysis and reporting phase. That's the star ratings and the investment planning phase, and that's using the VIDA software. So you're taking the coding data, the supporting data, putting it into VIDA, and again, that's often and should be accompanied by some sort of quality assurance peer review of the results, and again, briefings and training. So each one of those in a traditional sense is a sort of flow of a project. Then how do you organize that project? And this really gets back to the point about how do you engage an expert. So one way of organizing it is, like I mentioned before, you might be, the organization might be the road agency, and you want to do this yourself. So you provide training to your own team so that they can do the project planning, survey coding, analysis, and reporting. So that can happen. Another way you might do it is you might say, okay, as the road agency, I'm going to do the planning. I want to do the analysis and reporting part myself, but I'm going to use an accredited supplier to do the survey and coding. So I'm going to hire someone to do that data collection phase. Or you might say, all right, as the organization, all I want to do is the project planning. I just want to receive the data so that I can act on it and receive the report and act on it. What I do is get an accredited supplier to do the survey, coding, analysis, and reporting. And I might hire a separate supplier to do the quality assurance. So that there's that degree of independence. And remember that point I said before, lining up the skill sets and the qualifications, experience of your practitioners with each one of these activities is really important. That process, of course, could be a competitive tender process. So you put out, as the organization, bids, calls for bids from different accredited suppliers to do that activity. And of course, there's many different ways that you can package this up. You might end up with several suppliers, some doing the data collection, some doing the analysis and reporting, and some doing the quality assurance. So there's a lot of flexibility about how you might shape this, and the training and accreditation combinations are there to support these different processes to support your needs. And that brings us to this page, the iRAP specifications page, which I'm going to show you in a moment, and in particular, the standard terms of reference. So this is TOR, can be used as the basis of a project plan, or in the process of engaging consultants. And I'm going to show it on the screen in a moment. It's a Word document that can be edited. You can take it, you can adapt it, you can adapt the template to fit your particular context. So I'm going to show you that on the screen right now. So again, on our website, irap.org, in the resources, you want to take a look at the specifications page. It's going to bring you right here. What you can see here is a series of documents and downloads. One is the iRAP project planning manual. So much of what I've been speaking about this evening is covered in this document. That document contains this standard terms of reference, which I'm going to focus in on a moment. But this page also includes the inspection system accreditation specification. So that list of inspection systems that are accredited that I showed you before, this document tells you exactly what test they had to pass in order to get that accreditation. The survey manual tells you the requirements of preparing a road survey. So if you're engaging someone to do a survey for iRAP to iRAP spec, this is the document you tell them to follow. Road attribute coding, the investment plan, star rating investment plan, the software guide, VEDA user guide, star rating for designs guide, an upload specification for VEDA, which is packaged as part of the package of the VEDA software use. This manual that I reflected on when I was speaking to Injet earlier, when he asked the question, this guide gives tips on how you can do star ratings alongside road safety audits, and so that you get the best of both practices. Sorry, I accidentally clicked on that. And the last one is the iRAP crash risk mapping. If you have good crash data, you can make use of this methodology to prepare maps showing relative risk on the road network. So what I wanted to focus in particular is this standard terms of reference document. So when you click on that, you'll download this Word document. So the way it's structured is, firstly, it's got these green boxes. So wherever you see these green boxes, these are information. So it gives you some guidance about how to use the document at each stage through the document. When you're preparing your own document, you would delete these green boxes. Then they're not necessary for the final content. You can insert your name of the project, insert information about project reference and so forth. It starts with the project background, so it gives you some tips. Insert background information, so you can follow any of this text. Usually this sort of text we recommend that you keep, but again, you can edit it as you need. It recommends you list your project objectives that I referenced earlier, and then talks about the scope of work, like what exactly is going to go on. So this green box gives you some case studies that you might like to use in your project, and gives you some tips about how you would structure it. So to engage a consultant to do road survey and road attribute coding, you would take a look at this list below and make some edits to that. This list here gives you a typical scope of work activities. So it begins with familiarization. So you might ask your consultant to firstly become familiar with any iRAP assessments that have been done before, or any related infrastructure safety activities that have happened on the project roads. Then talks about road survey, road attribute coding, maybe provision of iRAP data, supporting data collection and so forth. So for each one of these, it's quite simple. It basically says for a survey, you should do a survey for the scheduled roads in accordance with the specifications. And so that specifications is the iRAP survey manual on the iRAP website. It's really important that you always take a look at that iRAP website to get the latest version of each one of these manuals, because they can be updated from time to time. So these are each examples of scope of work that you might get people to do. Includes, for example, producing investment-ready safety intervention schemes, so taking a safer roads investment plan, using the route review tool to produce a detailed plan for priority corridors, gives tips on types of workshops that might be used, additional stakeholder meetings, and training as well. It provides space for you to list the schedule of roads and designs. So you might want one road, you might want 100 roads. It's important that you list each one of those so it's very clear where the assessments will be done. And then it gets into the deliverables. So for each one of those scope of work activities listed earlier, there's some suggestions about what you might ask a consultant or someone doing a project to deliver. So you might, for a survey, ask them to do an inception report covering their survey plan, health and safety plan, who's going to do the survey, how they're going to do the survey, and so forth. Any licensed copies of specialized software that they make use of and that are necessary for using the data, you should ask for that. Short weekly reports, electronic copy of all the information and images and all the data, and a final report. And importantly, this relates to the question Simon asked earlier about quality assurance. We usually say if you engage someone to do road survey data, final acceptance should be withheld until you know that the coding team have been able to use that survey data. So, like, one of the best ways to check if the survey data is really good quality is give it to whoever's doing the coding and they can do the coding. If they can't use the data to use the coding, something wrong with the survey data, so you need to ask your survey team to review it. So similar thing for the road attribute coding. And again, you would cascade that final acceptance until you're sure that the star rating investment plan analysis is going to work. The analysis and reporting deliverables listed, investment ready safety schemes listed, crash risk mapping, quality assurance. So again, on Simon's question, I'm just going to scroll back up here one moment. Here's a sentence in the scope of work relating to quality assurance. So you might ask someone to undertake quality reviews of the road survey, the road attribute coding, supporting data, and so forth, as described in the iRAP investment plan and star ratings manual. So that manual gives you quite good recommendations about how to check for quality. So Simon, that's one that I suggest you take a look at. So just scrolling right back down through the document, and then has a section for timing of each one of the tasks that you decide to do, and then qualifications. And this is quite important. So when you're writing your TOR, you can obviously write your own requirements for what the consultants or who's doing the project, what their qualifications and experience are. But we've written down what we think should be used. So people should have demonstrated experience working in infrastructure safety in the relevant context, be able to do the reports in the correct language, but also hold that iRAP accreditation. And like I said, matching that accreditation to the specific tasks. For those doing training and workshops, it's that same list that I showed earlier on the PowerPoint slide, and crash risk mapping and so forth. So these are sentences that you can take and use into your terms of reference for qualifications. And again, like I said, you can complement that with any information that's relevant to your project or your context. Also recommend that you ask them to list any team members in their project team and what their status is for iRAP accreditation, same for the inspection system, and then providing inputs from the client. What will you provide to those consultants to make their job possible? And at the end, you have a health and safety risk assessment. As I said, we always recommend that these risk assessments are done for the project itself. So this is not about the road safety risk assessment per se, it's about the risk of people being hurt or injured or getting sick during the delivery of a project. So that document, again, is freely available on the website, on the specification page, and strongly recommend if you're shaping an iRAP project or you want iRAP activities done, you take a look at that document and use that as a basis of shaping your terms of reference. I think I might be running short on time, but a couple of other points I just wanted to highlight. Often we get asked the question, how much will a project cost? It's a little bit like how long is a piece of string? Because if there's all these different tools and different objectives, that influences the cost of doing a project quite a lot. Just a couple of points, though, to emphasize. There is no fee for using the iRAP methodology or VITA. So you can use VITA right away to do assessments. Some of the factors that you should take into account when you're thinking about shaping a project. So let's say you wanted to do a star rating assessment of 3,000 kilometers in your country. 3,000 kilometers needs to be taken into account, but the split, likely like the rough split between rural and urban roads needs to be considered. Urban roads typically cost more to do star ratings because there's more things going on, more things to record in an urban location. The location, the experience of your team, the team size. So for instance, if a team has one person doing the road attribute coding, it's going to take a long time and potentially cost a lot. It might actually be more cost effective to have several people doing the coding so that they get the job done faster. The quality, a poor quality project is going to cost a lot because you're going to have to ask people to do more. What type of equipment, whether there's pre-existing data. So as I said earlier, if there's Google Street View data, you can make use of that if it's up to date. Whether you use competitive bidding, incidents and approval times and training and events, whether that's being added into the project delivery. All of these things can really affect the cost of a project. Just as a rule of thumb, we've often said, a large scale project like 3,000 kilometers should cost less than $100 per kilometer, and these days often a bit less than that if you're able to make use of existing data. But again, it can vary quite a lot depending on the context. And also just to emphasize, remember, like you can use the star rating demonstrator. If you're not familiar with that, take a look on the iRAP tools. With that, you can do a star rating of a location in like 10 minutes. So if you just need sort of snapshots of what the star ratings are at particular locations, very, very cost-effective way and very quick way of doing star ratings. So you don't always have to sort of mobilize the full-scale iRAP assessments across every 100 meters of road. How long will the project take? Again, thinking about this 3,000 kilometer road, just as a rule of thumb, for the road survey, you might sort of look at 200 kilometers per survey per working day, 100 kilometers for rural roads and 50 for city roads. And the quality assurance might be 1 to 5 days for that work. So surveys on expressways obviously much faster than rural or city roads because you can drive more smoothly. Road attribute coding, roughly like 25 kilometers a day. An experienced coder might look at 25 kilometers a day for a rural road, maybe 15 and less than 10 for city roads. You might actually find that those numbers are much, much lower for inexperienced coders. It might be sort of 5 kilometers a day for rural roads for someone who's inexperienced. And we recommend usually about 10% of that coding should be subject to quality assurance. And then the investment plans depends again, but like 15 to 20 days producing those detailed star ratings and investment plans and gathering the supporting data might be a rule of thumb. And again, this is for 3,000 kilometers. So as I said, rule of thumb numbers, but help to give you a sense. And again, like the iRAP, if you're able to use pre-existing data or data that can be produced very quickly from existing sources, that's going to accelerate your project. And the new Rapido tools that I suggested, so on that RAP product video page that I showed on our website, there's 2 new tools at the bottom of the screen. They're going to be tools that help to accelerate the process of estimating star ratings across networks and fatalities and serious injuries as well. So they're going to help to accelerate those sorts of projects quite a lot. Designs, to give you a quick rule of thumb, a short and simple 10-kilometer rural road design with limited upgrades. Maybe you can produce the entire star ratings and investment estimates in 2 to 5 working days. If it's complex, like in a busy urban area, maybe 5 to 15 working days, and very longer, 100 kilometers, maybe you're going to need 15 to 30 working days. And again, like it really depends on the situation. But I guess a part of the point is that a star rating for designs can happen quite quickly, providing the input data and designs are available. And again, iRAP and Rapido can help accelerate that process. Min, that is all the slides that I wanted to present. Been a lot of talking and quite intense, but yeah, if there's any other questions, we will talk about them now.
Yeah, we have some questions from the participants, and thanks, Greg, for a very informative presentation. Very, very informative. Okay, I guess people will need some time to digest all the information that you share after this. Okay, we have another question from Simon. So Simon asking that is there any general guideline to what percentage of the project budget could be spent on iRAP surveys, coding, and analysis? 1 or 2 1 to 2% might seem reasonable and justifiable. So do you have any ideas or any comments on this?
I'm not quite sure what Simon means by the project. If it's a road upgrade project,
I
for
yeah,
example.
I guess that the general one, like I think if only road assessment project, it's simple. Like we only spend money on the assessment. But I think that I think that just my own opinion, Simon. If you are comfortable to uh raise like to talk, I can unmute you and then you can give more details, share more details about your questions. Otherwise, we just assume that this is a road upgrade project and how much like our Simon just raise his hand and I will allow him to speak and then he will share more information. Okay, Simon, I think you can speak now. Yep.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Okay, Simon.
Yeah, hi, Greg. Thanks. Yeah, it was just a question as to what's the sort of typical spend on say a kind of a new project. I mean, I've come across sort of examples elsewhere where, say, bioengineering, slope protection, people might allocate 5% of a project budget to doing that aspect of the work. So is there a sort of guide as to how much it's reasonable to spend on the analysis and then the safety measures that would come out of this analysis?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, like as a percentage of a major road construction or upgrade, the iRAP analysis is tiny percent. So sort of at one extreme, you might say, a road project might be a major road project, construction might be $1 million per kilometer, whereas the iRAP assessment might be less than $100 kilometer. So tiny percent. In terms of the safety interventions, like we've seen several projects where a road upgrade, like major road upgrade, is happening, and the iRAP assessment's been done, and safety interventions have been implemented. Often those safety interventions are sort of less than 5% of the total construction project, and that 5% is enough to make significant safety gains. So I guess like in terms of the actual interventions, like if you're doing a regular sort of business as usual road, and then you added on 5 to 10% specifically for safety enhancements, that would be sort of the number that we've seen coming through often in those projects. And I guess the iRAP analysis is going to be this tiny percentage. It's going to be, well, yeah, a tiny percentage of the road construction project. If that makes sense,
Yeah,
hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, it was more the measures that I was thinking of, and so I mean I think it's good to have to sort of almost publicize a figure because it sort of endorses people, practitioners, to say, look, we actually might need to spend quite a lot on this, and it may well be up to 5%, which is quite a significant figure, but eminently justifiable.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some figures out there, and we've seen these numbers from projects in Brazil and Africa and China. But yeah, no, definitely take that on board, Simon. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Greg.
Yep. Thanks, Simon. And we have another questions from we have quite a lot. So we have another questions from a participant that how much can an accredited practitioner charge per kilometer of evaluation? So I think we can understand that we have a standard rate for the iRAP practitioners to like when they support any iRAP assessment project. Do we have suggest a standard rate for the iRAP practitioners?
We do not. We don't get into that sort of pricing. We do say when you're accredited, you sign a code of conduct, and it does sort of commit you to doing reasonable prices in the market. But yeah, we don't take any steps to sort of do guidance about what individual accreditors should charge for individual projects. What we do recommend is that on the other side, those engaging experts use a competitive process so that they can compare different prices from different practitioners.
Yeah, right. So we have the list of all the practitioners on our website and the standard TOR as well. So you can open like a bidding process so that people can apply for the position to support your project with a competitive rate. Okay, so we have another questions from Jamilu. So is Nigeria registered with iRAP? If yes, how can it help the country in improving roads through regional, national, and local road safety agency? Thank you. So basically, are there any iRAP assessment projects or involvement in Nigeria, and how the organization or how our tools can help the country in improving road safety through regional, national, and local road safety agency? Okay.
Yeah, as yet, relatively assessments have been done in Nigeria, which is obviously something that we would love to see change. Such a huge country in Africa. So I would say though that remember that the tools are freely available and the accreditation and training is open to anyone. So any expert, any road engineer, road safety practitioner that's interested in learning the skills and developing the skills, whether they're in government or in the private sector, in research or in an NGO, is available. It's open. So yeah, very happy to be in touch after the webinar to see how we can share further information about that.
Yep. And also in Greg's presentation, there's a link to our website, like where we work, where you can find all the information about where iRAP assessment are performed. So you can search like Nigeria to see if there's any iRAP assessment in your country. So we have another question from Sabri. So he's asking that where can we find iRAP projects, because the organizations such as World Bank, for example, doesn't publish the information, and we doesn't publish the information, and asking publish the information that we need someone for coding a survey, for example. Like I think he means that where can he find the opportunities to support the iRAP projects, because sometimes the information are not published by the development banks or some agency, role agency. So if we don't involve in the network, then we don't have the availability to that kind of information.
Yeah, Sabri, this is a fantastic question, and it's one that I share frustration with many of that. You've taken the time to learn how to do this and get accredited, but often it's hard to find projects to do. And I think the sad reality is that there's not enough road safety projects happening around the world. There needs to be many, many more, because we have such a huge road safety problem. So something more broadly iRAP works on a lot is that on the advocacy side with countries and development banks and through the UN, trying to push for more investment happening in road safety. What I mean, you mentioned it earlier, but I would reiterate, really encourage you, if you're keen to find opportunities, make sure you register with all the multilateral development banks. They all have mailing services where they'll send updates of projects that are being advertised. If there's any sort of competitive project, you can find that on their website, and you can always register as a consultant. So, for example, if you're interested in working in Asia, the Asian Development Bank enables you to register as a consultant, and so you're in their system, and they will send emails every time there's projects that are relevant to the topics that you tick. So really recommend you take a look at that. There's also a website called DevX, which you can take a look at, that collates a lot of that information, and you can see where those projects are being published. Also, I think if you stay in touch with the network of people doing iRAP assessments, like see which companies are doing iRAP assessments and reach out proactively to them to see if they need assistance in their projects, or at least so they're aware of you in the future. And of course, yeah, very happy for any of you to be in touch with us, asking if we know of any projects that they might be able to connect to. We will do our best to try and connect you as well.
Yep. Thanks, Greg, and thanks, Sabri, for that questions. We have, I think that's the final one from Daniel. So he comments that we often receive questions about how much time we need to get people trained and accredited. So I think it depends on iRAP and how much. I think it depends on it depends on the project team and how much they can dedicate to the trainings and accreditation program. So we have our online training courses are free and designed at all based, like allow participants to complete at their own base, and sometimes it creates a challenge for people that they don't have the motivation to complete it very quickly. So maybe we can limit the time for people to finish the training course. So at the moment we have allow people to have 3 months to complete the free online course. So Daniel, he suggests that maybe we should have have more shorter period of time, limit the time for people to complete the training, and it's better to have to take the training in a continuous way. So I think this is his comment. So basically now we have 3 months. We allow people 3 months for people to finish their to finish the online course that they register. So that's our current so at the moment we allow 3 months, but I guess in your projects, if you require a shorter timeline, that how you should work with your project team and request the team to finish in 2 weeks. That I think that's the communication and how you design your project with your project team. And regarding for the general public, we just allow 3 months at the moment. So just for your information, I guess.
Yeah, and I just add to that, doing the online training, I know it's very effective for some people, can be very convenient, but also we would love to be able to deliver more face-to-face training, like an intensive 1-week training course that really skills people up quickly in a full-time way. We would love to be able to do more of that, and we're seeking sort of opportunities to be able to do that. But yeah, if you would like us to sort of shape a training proposal and work with you to try and find ways to deliver that, we would love to hear from you as well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I guess that all the questions that we received in the chat box. So does anyone have any other questions? You can raise your hand to talk to Greg and other participants. Otherwise, you can put in the chat box. I guess we over time 15 minutes. But we still have one more questions. Let's see. Okay, I just allow you to talk. Please, can you share your questions or comments?
Inderjit Ghai again from India. This was a wonderful presentation. My question is there any social networking site where we can remain connected with iRAP and other people associated with iRAP, like WhatsApp or any other social networking site?
Yeah, fantastic question, Injit. And again, we will refer you to the iRAP team in India so that you can get started connecting to them. We don't have a global WhatsApp group. It's perhaps not a bad idea. Could be quite busy. But we are very active on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter or X. So you can subscribe to follow us on each one of those, and we send out newsletters quite regularly as well. So yeah, we'll share some information about how we can connect.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great questions. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? Otherwise, I think it's 15 minutes over time and maybe we can close the section today. So if no one has any other questions, so please allow us to close the section. Okay, so this the contact information with Greg. So if you have any further questions after this session, please feel free to send an email to us or to directly to Greg, and follow our website for further information, for further opportunities. And yep, and from my own opinion, I think that the section today is really informative and sometimes quite overwhelming for people if this is the first time you heard about iRAP tools and methodologies and iRAP assessment, etc. So maybe you can, if you don't have any plan yet for your year-end holiday, you can spend some time reviewing our website, our tools, and see if you have any ideas to start your very first iRAP assessment project next year. And we are happy to have you, support you in any way we can. Feel free to keep in touch with us. And taking this opportunity, wishing you, all of you, a very happy holiday season. And we look forward to your participation in other RAF Knowledge Live sections next year. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And have a good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and good night, everyone. And thanks, Greg.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.